Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to tackle a video that I've been wanting to do for a while now. As you know, if you've watched some of my previous videos, I'm a huge Stephen King fan. I have a pretty extensive collection. So today I'm going to not branch too far away from that, and I'm going to talk about Joe Hill. I'm going to cover all the books that I have, talk a little bit about all his novels and his graphic novels and his short story collections. In case you don't know, Joe Hill is Stephen King's son, who goes by the pen name of Joe Hill. So if you haven't checked him out and you are a Stephen King fan, I highly suggest doing so. Before we get going, if you are an avid reader, if you love Stephen King, please subscribe below, give me a thumbs up. I still got a bunch of videos I'm looking forward to showing. First up, I want to talk about the Lock and Key graphic novel series that Joe Hill co-wrote with Gabriel Rodriguez. As you can see here, I picked these up in 3 master editions. They're pretty nice, heavy hardcovers. The pictures and the glossy paper on the inside is stunning. It's actually, they're very nice editions. I almost felt guilty reading them. So this one has Welcome to Lovecraft and Head Games. Each of them contains 2 of the 6 stories. Volume 2 right here contains the stories Crown of Shadows and Keys to the Kingdom. And Volume 3 has the last 2 stories, Clockworks and Alpha and Omega. In case you didn't know, this was adapted to a Netflix series, and even though I'm not the biggest fan of adaptations, I did watch it, and it's pretty good. So even if you haven't read these, you'll enjoy the series. They held true to the dialogue of the series in the graphic novels, but they also strayed away and did their own thing, as well as leaving room for season 2, which is smart on their end. I'm not a big graphic novel reader. I read these simply because they're Joe Hill, but I did enjoy these. If you're into graphic novels, I highly suggest them. Even if you're not and you just like Joe Hill, check them out as well. It's an entertaining ride. Also right here, this is Lock and Key, Heaven and Earth. This doesn't exactly tie in totally with the plot lines of the 6 books in the series. It's kind of just a little bit of a side story. So if you enjoyed the series, if you've read it all, check it out. Can't go wrong. As we dive into the novels, the first one I want to talk about is Horns. Horns and Heart-Shaped Box were my 2 favorite novels by him. We'll get to Heart-Shaped Box in a second. First, I want to talk about this special edition of Horns that I got from Suntup Editions. They're a newer company. They do a really good job. As you can see from the wraparound artwork here, it's really nice. It looks great on your bookshelf. As I go inside here, as I take the dust jacket off, you can see the book itself has a nice like matted feel to it. It's like fabric. It's really nice with the gold cross there. The slipcase, it's got that faux wood look to it, which looks great on your bookshelf. And it says, "Blessed shall you be when you go out." That's, if you've read the book, you'll understand what that means. So like I said, this company Suntup does a great job with their special editions, and they just look really good displayed on your bookshelf. So this is the paperback novel of Horns that I own and that I read. Horns is a revenge story. It's a redemption story. So if you're into those themes, you're really gonna like this. Basically, real quickly, a guy wakes up in the morning after a heavy night of drinking with horns on his head that only he can see. And I know it sounds weird initially, but it's actually a really good story that leads him down a path of trying to unravel the mystery of his girlfriend's death from a year ago. So yeah, if you're into that kind of mystery thriller, it's got horror elements to it, obviously, with the whole horns and devil aspect, and there's religious undertones and all that fun stuff, but it's a really good novel. This is probably my favorite novel from Joe Hill. Next up is Heart-Shaped Box, another one that's really good. Like I said before, this one and Horns are my 2 favorite novels from Joe Hill. If you like ghost stories and creepy stories and those types of things, this is the one for you. This one, there were points where reading it at night, with the lights off before bed, caught me looking at shadows. It's very creepy, and it's Joe Hill at his best, in my opinion. Check this one out. This is a great one to start on. I believe it was his first feature novel. So yeah, great one to start on if you're just getting into them. Heart-Shaped Box Now we move to a short story collection, 20th Century Ghosts. This one has a lot of good stuff in it. It's kind of tough to talk about short story compilations in depth, because there's so many little stories in them. But there's a lot of good stuff in here. If you're a fan of short stories as opposed to full-length novels, then check this one out. Like I said, there's something in here for everybody. Moving on to Nosferatu. This one was hyped up by myself. When I read the premise, when this one was going to be released, I thought, holy geez, based on what I had read from his first two novels, this is going to be unbelievable. Now, it wasn't a bad novel, but I think I hyped it up so much in my mind that I ended up letting myself down. I found it's a very original story, if you know anything about it. It's about a very weird man. He kidnaps children and takes them to this parallel universe called Christmas Land. And basically, in a nutshell, that's what I can tell you. It's very weird. It's very original though, but it drags at times. It's a bit of a longer novel. And I just thought this one could have been condensed a little bit into a bit of a better, fast-paced, exciting novel. Next up is The Fireman. I kind of lumped this one into the same category as Nosferatu. The premise sounds great, and it kind of reads the same way. This one felt like it read in three separate stages. The start was amazing. It really draws you in. And then the middle kind of slows down, lulls you to sleep a little bit. It feels like it drags, but then the end is very fast-paced and exciting. Overall, though, it is still a good read. It is a post-apocalyptic take. Basically, there is a virus or an epidemic taking place where people start breaking out with these black and gold spots all over their body, and then they'll self-combust. They'll basically go up in flames and then they die. So yeah, that's the gist of it. And the fireman is this figure that is immune to it. So he has some special powers in this post-apocalyptic world. So yeah, it is a good read. If you are into post-apocalyptic stories, I would suggest checking this one out. Strange Weather is a collection of 4 novellas, shorter stories. They're not really short stories, but they're not full-length novels. So novellas are somewhere in between. There is a novella in here called Aloft. It is about 200 pages. And I'm sorry, I don't bash a lot of stuff. I like a lot of what I read. But this was awful. I could not get through it. Like I said, it was like 200 pages, and honestly, it was about someone stuck on a cloud after a skydiving incident, literally stuck on a cloud, and I just couldn't wrap my head around what was going on or make sense of it at all. So, I mean, by all means, if you've read it and you enjoyed it and I'm missing something here, please let me know. Other than that, the other 3 stories are pretty good. So again, check it out for those stories, maybe not Aloft. Full Throttle is another one of his short story collections. This, on the other hand, was unbelievable. This is probably my favorite short story collection by anybody that I've read. Top to bottom, this is awesome. I love them all. Especially, there's a story in here called Fawn. It's about 50 pages. I thought he had the potential to make this a full novel. There was so much more. I wanted so much more, at least. Just to kind of give you an idea, it was basically about hunters, guys who like to hunt big game. And it's like, when you've hunted the biggest game on the planet Earth, what's next? I mean, outside of, someone hunting a human being. But basically then from there, we go to like a fantasy side of it. So if you kind of can put 2 and 2 together, it was very interesting, and I thought the ending was amazing. And I mean, check this out for that story alone, but you'll love the rest of it too. Joe Hill at his best here. Okay, so that's all my Joe Hill books. Thanks for checking out my video. Once again, if you love reading, give me a subscribe below. Give me a thumbs up as well, and we'll talk to you guys soon.